Francisco, it's Rex Broadcasting Wrestling Observer with Dave Meltzer and Bryan Alvarez.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Let's get it on!
How's it going, everybody? This is Dave Meltzer. We're going to be here for the next 2 hours talking pro wrestling and as well as mixed martial arts. In fact, we're already loaded with a bunch of UFC phone calls that we'll get to later in the first hour. We may have a guest from UFC in the second hour. We may not. It's kind of up in the air at this moment. But I wanted to not take a guest this show because it's the last chance to do a show without a guest in probably about 5-6 weeks. We got guests booked. And a lot of pay-per-views as well coming up. So, we knew this before this month started, but this is the busiest month. Well, certainly since WCW and ECW went down, from that standpoint, it's the busiest month. But in some ways, it may be the busiest month even of all time.
I mean, when ECW and WCW were around, it wasn't like we were having K1 and Pride and boxing pay-per-views and such and free shows on Spike and everything. I think this would be the busiest. Well,
we got 10 major shows between pay-per-view and that special last night in 1 month. So, yeah, that's got to be a record. That includes two boxings and a couple of Prides, a couple of K1s, or one K1, I guess. No, two K1s. Just a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff and too much, really.
Yeah.
But last night was pretty wild. Of course, the week before we had WrestleMania, which was the biggest show of the year. Pretty successful show in some senses. I mean, as far as a 4-hour entertainment, I thought it was pretty darn good. As far as the goals, which were Cena and Batista, I think that could have gone a little bit better.
Yeah. But, I mean, what really matters is where they go from here. They got up to a slow start. Cena probably more than Batista, but... God, that first half of the Batista match, I was crying.
Were you?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I would say that I don't know. It gets really. It reminded me of WCW where like before they would make the mistake, I would this is what used to happen all the time. I would spell out this is the mistake. Actually, I've done this with WWE a lot too. This is the mistake they're about to make. Okay. And this is why it's going to be a mistake. And then they do it.
This is what's going to happen.
Right. They do it, and it's the exact mistake that I say for the exact reasons that I say, and I'm going like, if it was so easy to figure that out ahead of time, why did they still do it?
Because you wrote it, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, but, hey.
I think it's because it's so easy to predict. You know what I mean?
So why did they do it?
Because
by the way, we're talking.
They're going to do it. It's not a why. It's just that they are.
We're just talking about Triple H going 20 minutes with Batista when the match probably would have been better shorter.
Well, not only that, but just Batista should have destroyed. If they're going to go 20 minutes, Batista should have destroyed him for about 10 before Hunter went to work on him, instead of virtually right from the opening bell and putting.
Well, he got a couple of things until Flair was stroking him. Anyway, we've got to head to a break right now. We've got every line lit up, it's our number is 1-800-878-PLAY. When someone hangs up, you can join in on the show. You're listening to Wrestling Observer live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. We're here every Sunday night from 8 to 10 p.m., and this week we're here in the middle of the craziest month that we may have ever covered professional wrestling and mixed martial arts, with WrestleMania and just one big pay-per-view after another. We got in 2 weeks on the TNA pay-per-view 8 cage matches. That's insanity. We've got the Pride Grand Prix on the 23rd. We've got the biggest UFC match, biggest money UFC match of all time that's going to be taking place this coming Saturday with Randy Couture and Chuck Liddell for the Light Heavyweight Championship. We've had 3 matches of the year on television and pay-per-view in the United States, so that have aired in the United States in the last 7 days, between Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle for Pro Wrestling, Masato and Kid Yamamoto for K1 on Friday night, and Stephen Bonner and Forrest Griffin last night on the UFC show. We have seen so much, I have to say this, like some of the decision-making, a lot of the decision-making when it comes to a lot of these businesses in the last year, booking decisions when it comes to WWE and all, have not been good, but we have seen some action, between the TNA pay-per-views have had some incredible matches this year. Of course, WrestleMania had 2 really great matches. And that UFC match last night was off the charts great. I mean, there's been some it's really been a lot of stuff. A lot of great stuff. What can I say?
It's almost, it's actually not almost like this, but I was just thinking about WCW at the end where there were a lot of great matches taking place as it was sinking to...
I mean, there was like 3 count and Young Dragons and stuff, but they weren't like this good.
No, not this good. Not this good.
No. But in WWE's not...
special.
WWE's not sinking, and UFC is certainly not sinking.
No.
TNA, TNA may be sinking.
Although sometimes I think UFC is not sinking in spite of itself.
UFC, it's weird. Because they have more momentum than they ever had, yet they also have less matches on the table than they've almost ever had. It's really weird. But their name is so big. I think the second season of Ultimate Fighter might be bigger than the first.
I would think so.
Just because of talk about going out with a bang.
Yeah.
My God. I mean, I say this for those of you who don't know what we're talking about. This show ends at 10. Okay, on the East Coast and on the West. But anyway, if you're on the East Coast or anywhere else except for the West Coast, at about 11 o'clock tonight, if you did not watch the UFC special last night, at about 11 o'clock you have to tune in. If not at 10, because there's a match with Forrest Griffin and Stephan Bonner. It is probably the consensus greatest match in the history of UFC. It's one of the best MMA matches that I've ever seen, and it's a match that people are going to be talking about forever. Forever. And as good as Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels was, and it was, this match people are going to be talking about forever, where Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels were only going to be talking about that for the next, 15 or 18 years. So anyway.
That show was 2.5 hours long last night, and there were only 3 fights, and, 2 of them went very, very quickly. And, I think that because it was such a large audience and there were so many new fans, that all of the video package and everything and the explanations and the hype and everything was really necessary. But I really think they should have taken one of those pre-show fights that went very, very quickly, like first round.
Every pre-show fight but one went first round. They could have aired 3 of them. And
they should have aired at least one right off the bat, because that first...
the first 35 minutes we didn't even have a fight.
Yeah.
I thought that the packages on the show last night, I thought the packages were very well done, but there were too many of them. And there were some that you needed to hype next week's pay-per-view. And you needed, and I think the personality profiles on the guys, and which were very good, needed to be there. But some of the stuff on UFC, it reminded me of watching, I felt the same way watching WrestleMania. It's like pretty much everyone who watches WrestleMania has watched the TV, and a lot of people have watched, that watching WrestleMania have watched Heat. And I've seen every one of those video packages, and I really, I got tired. At WrestleMania we had 4 hours, and we only had 8 matches, and they still had to cut a bunch of the matches short because, those who needs another video feature for the Trish Stratus Christy Hemme match? You know what I'm saying? Or
replace the match,
or most of the matches. I'd seen those pieces before. Do it for like the title matches. Maybe do it for Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels. You don't need it for the other matches. Everyone that's bought the show kind of knows the angles going in. And as it was,
once you've bought the show, why do you need more hype for what you're about to see?
Yeah. You need to set the table and all that.
Sure, if it's a major match.
But Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero really, I'm not saying that they needed 10 more minutes, but 3 more minutes would have made a big difference in that match.
Mm.
And they could have used it. And, JBL and John Cena, I don't know that they could have used it, but, actually...
The way it ended was strange.
Yeah. They could have just taken that time off of the main event, but that wasn't about to happen, was it?
No. And the other thing about last night was there were 2 Diego video packages, and I didn't need to see the second one, so they could have put a fight in there. And
after the Forrest Griffin fight, they did another, thing running down the Ultimate Fighter with a bunch of clips and everything.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, here's the thing. They show Chris Levin, peeing on Thacker's bed, and they had the grudge match, and it only went 90 seconds, and it took place that night. Why do we need to see the hype for this match that we're not seeing?
Yeah.
And then they never even acknowledge that, I don't want to complain because that show was great, and I don't really want to complain about WrestleMania because that show was great, but they could have been better. And, let's see, what do you think, the TNA thing is just totally lost in the shuffle this month. 8 cage matches, though.
This actually reminds me of we used to have a show up here once a year. It was like Cage Mania or something, where the big hype was every match was in a cage. But the reason we did it was just we didn't want to take the damn cage down and put it back up in the middle of the show. So you just put it up before and tear it down after. This is having really few ideas left, or just some way to throw everything against the wall, and it's some sort of hype that every match is going to be in a cage or whatever for TNA, and really it's total overkill.
Yeah.
They must never have a cage match again, because how can you top this now?
Yeah, well, I just hope that they make it, and I don't know that well, from day one, and then they're gonna make the 3-year mark, which is incredible because, we pegged them for 3 months when they started, and
we were right, actually.
We would have been.
People don't understand this.
We actually were. If it had not been for Panda, they were closing up in September.
It was exactly 3 months.
That's right. But God came. God works in mystical ways. He ordained you this last week.
That's right.
You better explain that one, because I think I'm going to be making fun of it for the next couple of years. But anyway, what happened?
Well, I was talking to my friend Vince, and he talked about how it was possible to be ordained online. And so I did. So I am now an ordained minister, and if Vince Russo wants to, debate wrestling and the Lord, then I'm here.
Oh, God.
I realize that we are linked for life somehow, so I figure I should be on an even playing field.
I guess you are with the book and everything.
That's right.
Yeah. By the way, last week's show, or the last show that we had 2 weeks ago with Terry Funk, just want to remind everyone that in May, we will have Terry Funk back on, because I just personally enjoyed that time way too much to not do it again really fast, and there's just a lot more to talk about, and I don't know, he was just really on that show. So anyway, we got that coming up. We're going to have Dusty Rhodes on May the 8th. Did you know that one, Bryan?
I heard. I didn't hear the date, but... Okay,
May the 8th. Mark that one down, Dusty Rhodes. That could be, that will be a great show. Maybe not for me.
Dusty was on before.
Yeah, we've had Dusty before, and that was a very good show.
Yeah, there was nothing. It was.
But he wasn't booking then.
He did accuse me of hating him. I recall that.
Yeah, but it wasn't. He wasn't booking at the time.
Uh-oh.
And he is booking now. So anyway, I
wonder if the girls will be on the line with him.
I got to tell you the story about the girls. Okay, you know that they told Dusty that the problem is they're too country, so the girls have to dress like hip-hop girls. So anyway, I watched the show last night because we didn't get it on Friday. It was preempted here for baseball. So last night I'm watching the TNA show from, where they're now dressed as hip-hop girls instead of like country girls. And except for the fact, Tracy wore the same jeans that she always wears. She just had more of a new wave top, but it was like the same kind of top that
And she was still sitting in hay?
No. She was not sitting in hay. The truck is gone.
Oh.
The truck is gone. The hay is gone. They just came out with them. And Trinity, got her hair done differently, which, whatever. And it's like, and I'm thinking, like, these people are, they have so many issues to deal with.
And this was the one
And this was the one, and this is the thing that they're worried about. I mean, they went on television on a taped show that was taped a month earlier, 3+ weeks earlier. And they gave away the finish of a great main event, like 20 minutes before the main event started.
Yes, I remember that.
In a video package, and they're worried about, like, what the girls are wearing, which is the least of their problems. Anyway, we're going to go hit a break. We'll be back with more, including your phone calls, right after this. You listen to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. Dave Meltzer, editor of Wrestling Observer Newsletter. Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. We're here every Sunday night, 8 to 10 Eastern, 5 to 7 Pacific Time. You can always go to www.wrestlingobserver.com. We've got the latest pro wrestling info updated every afternoon, as well as all the TV reviews. And you can also get information on the site on how to subscribe to the Figure 4 Weekly that Bryan puts out every week, Wrestling Observer that I put out every week. It's the most detailed coverage of pro wrestling that you will find, and mixed martial arts that you will find anywhere, especially this month because there's so much going on. And These issues are bursting at the seams. I'm not kidding. The last couple weeks, I've had issues that were as long as a book that I've had to whittle down just to fit 18 tiny little pages. It was incredible, and it's not going to stop. So next up, a lot of big stories coming up, and coverage of the shows, and a lot of stuff with Rock and Brock Lesnar in this upcoming week's Observer. So anyway, Rhino's gone. By the way.
He is.
Rhino was let go by WWE, and Paul Bearer was let go by WWE.
Both of whom are rarely seen as it was.
Yeah, Rhino gored a potted plant after, actually he didn't, but Rhino got really upset with his wife and turned into a bad scene at post-WrestleMania party. And don't know what's going on there. Lots of stuff going on with ECW. You know that Dusty Rhodes wrestled Terry Funk last night, and no, he didn't wrestle Terry Funk. Dusty Rhodes wrestled Jeff Jarrett, and Terry Funk interfered to set up a match, hitting Dusty Rhodes over the head with his book, which I figured was going to happen.
With his book?
Oh, you didn't hear that? That was the foreign object that cost Dusty Rhodes the match.
Wow. And
Terry Funk did this interview, and I believe it's actually an interview that he did, and we've got to play that interview in a couple of weeks here before we get Terry Funk back on. He did, because it's an interview that he did in Memphis, and it's like, it was the best interview, or among the best interviews of last year, although, I don't know. Oh, Bryan, I got to tell you this one before we head to the calls. On the OVW tape that you will be seeing this week, there's a segment with Jim Cornette and Matt Morgan that is, like, just incredible. That's all I can tell you. It's an interview segment. Oh, my God. It's just, it's just hilarious. It's like a shoot, and it's not a shoot. And I guess that there's a second part of it that I haven't seen, which was on last night's TV show, that I'll see in the next couple of days.
I have to ask you an Ohio Valley question, but during the break.
Oh, do it right now.
No.
Oh, okay. It's going to be during the break? Okay, well, anyway.
I will say that I did just watch the Ohio Valley tape, and the last one I saw had an interview with Eminem, and Johnny Nitro was so awesome. Oh, I remember that one. And those ring entrances. Yeah. They get better every week. I used to want them to be called up immediately, and now I don't. Because I can watch them every week and enjoy myself and not have to worry about them being called up, not allowed to speak, turn babyface, split up, and everything else that will surely happen. I don't want to see that.
Yeah, well.
I am very happy with the way things are right now.
Yeah.
And think about like a year ago, exactly 1 year ago.
After WrestleMania last year?
I thought there was no hope ever for Johnny Nitro. About 13 months ago, exactly.
Oh, I was sure of it.
No hope ever in a million.
Oh yeah, he was going to be the first flop of Tough Enough, and now we have two fired Tough Enoughs. We've got.
He's the hero.
Yeah, he has a chance to be the biggest star out of all the people in Tough Enough.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
And I can, because I've seen it.
Yeah.
A year ago, no way.
Yeah. I don't know what got into him. It's probably Joey Matthews and Melina.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we are going to start on the phone calls with Ed in San Antonio. Ed, what's going on?
Hey, guys. I want to talk about the fight last night. I got to say that was probably the most exciting 15 minutes that I've seen since I was a little kid. I actually like both contestants on the series, so I didn't really have a favorite going in. And when either one of them would be in trouble, I was yelling for both of them, taking turns just back and forth. I mean,
I was like that. I was like that too. You know what? I was just hoping that the guy who was getting hit wouldn't go down, because it was just like so good. I didn't want to see anybody lose. And when it was over, I don't care who won the decision. I came to the conclusion that they both won.
Yeah, I was telling myself it'd be a shame if they didn't, if one of them didn't get the contract. I'm really glad that they stepped up and gave both of them because they earned it. I mean, that was the most exciting UFC. That was the most exciting Ultimate Fighting fight. I mean, Price probably had some that are close, but as far as UFC, that was the best fight ever.
Yeah, I always think like maybe the best fight ever was Frank Shamrock and Tito Ortiz, and this was more exciting than that, and that was pretty exciting.
Yeah. So unfortunately, that came at the low point in UFC, and so maybe a lot of people don't. Because I didn't really see that fight.
Yeah, and that fight was more of a tactical, interesting fight. I mean, this fight was just like, that fight. Like, if you understood what was going on, was a really great fight, and even if you didn't, it was pretty drama. It had its drama. But this fight, it was like you could take someone who had never seen a UFC before and put him in front of this, and they would just go, "This is one of the greatest fights in history." You know, I mean, it's like it was simple. I mean, if you know it, it was great. If you don't know it was great. It was like, you know, it was like it was like equivalent to the greatest pro wrestling match you'd ever see, or right up there.
Yeah, it was. Also, my question being is I know that there's been talk, well, not really talk, but a lot of people kind of have been wanting to see like maybe a 2-hour Ultimate Fighting fights like the old boxing night.
Yep, like Tuesday night fights on
Is there enough
USA.
fighters for them to do something like that?
There are enough fighters, which when Ken Shamrock was on, we talked about that. There are enough fighters to do that. I think that there's, I'll put it this way, a lot depends on how the rating comes in on this show. If the rating's real high, there will be pressure to do it. I know that there are people in UFC who, for years, have wanted that, and that's been the dream, and now they're not so sure. It's real interesting, because now that the reality show turned out so well, but you know what, the reality show is going to be like 13 weeks every year, and you really need a weekly presence because, they're at this real high note right now, but, the reality is they're not going to be back on TV except for if they get another special or something till September, and they need to keep that presence because they've built so much momentum in the last 13 weeks with that show that it's a shame to disappear. I mean, like when last Monday's show was on and Dana turned out the lights, I was sad. It was like, I haven't felt like this is like a TV show that, I was really into got canceled.
Yeah.
I know it's coming back and all that, but it was just like, my God, it's like, what am I going to do after a bad Raw? Not that they've been bad a lot lately, because they haven't, but I'm just saying, when they have a bad Raw, it didn't matter because there's always UFC right afterwards.
I think that what they should do is keep doing 13-week, sessions maybe, and just keep the reality show format, because if nothing else, that is the best way to get over the personality of these fighters so people care. If they did like the weekly Tuesday night fights thing, I don't think UFC is really capable of getting over the personalities. Because of all those pay-per-views that I watched, there are guys that have probably been on 5 UFC pay-per-views that I couldn't pick out of a lineup.
Yeah, but that's because they never get them over if you have a TV show. And I personally, to me, I think a 2-hour TV show may be pushing it for UFC every week. But I think that the idea of a 1-hour TV show where you have maybe 2 or 3 fights and a lot of personality features and interviews, personality features with the guys that are on the next pay-per-view and interviews back and forth. So, got to remember, like the average person. Bryan, you're even more than the average person, okay? I'll bet you that you can't name 3 fights on this Saturday show, and it doesn't matter because the main event's what's selling it, but the point is that you could sell those other matches if you had the TV show, and it wouldn't just be, okay, we all know Randy Couture. Because you're not going to have Randy Couture and Chuck Liddell in the main event on, every UFC or... Oh,
so you plan 13 weeks ahead for whoever's going to be in the main event on that show, and they're the trainers for that particular...
Okay, that's fine, but what about the other, 4 or 5 pay-per-views a year? If you can do 1 pay-per-view a year, then that's great, but that's not going to run a business.
You have 1 major pay-per-view every 13 weeks.
Oh, you're saying like have a constant... I don't think that they can do a constant thing because Dana will die. He needs time off.
Dana can find somebody to replace him in that gig.
Yeah, I know. Dana should hire a figurehead commissioner.
Like they couldn't, there are other people that can do Dana's job. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, there are, but it ain't gonna happen. Dana
15 weeks was so great at building stars, and you had some fights in there. You didn't overexpose anybody, except maybe Diego, who had to fight 3 times. And
yeah, but he wasn't overexposed either.
No, but it ended up perfect, and now you have this. The only drawback is that they could have probably done more with Chuck and Randy. I guess they would have had to kind of work something or whatever, but maybe focus on them more.
Yeah, I know, because by the end you realize that they're best friends.
Yeah, and that was kind of a mistake, but still, you have the 2 trainers who are now going to fight. You made these stars. You've got some new guys signed. You've got faces that people know. And now, after the show, you can start on Monday with a brand new 13-week series with a bunch of new guys and 2 new trainers, and it'd be all new again.
Okay. Anything else, Ed?
Yeah, I did have one question. One of the things that helped this series was the fact that it was promoting Liddell and Couture. And if they do go to the second season, I don't know what kind of matchups they have planned, but what I was wondering, what are the chances that you could have Team Shamrock versus Team Shamrock?
Nah, I don't like that, especially because Shamrock's not going to be fighting, I don't think. So I would think that they would want to get I don't know. I don't know who, because Randy is a real coach. It's like, do you really want, Team Tanner and Team Franklin? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that's where they're, I'm not saying that's where they're,
Well, we don't know yet because we don't really know too much about the personalities of those guys. It could actually be good.
Yeah, anything's possible. Team Trigg and Team Hughes would be interesting. But then again, they're fighting Saturday, so that's, that's not happening.
Yeah, I just thought it would be interesting to have, Ken and Frank and have their different...
Oh, Ken and Frank. I was thinking Ken and Ken. Well, Frank and UFC are not on good terms. But actually, as an idea, that's a pretty... plus Frank's not going to fight and Ken's not going to fight, and they're not going to fight each other. But if it was another year, like 3-4 years ago, actually probably would have been a great idea. I just don't know that, with Frank not being on good terms with them and Ken retiring... But as far as those two as coaches, it'd be interesting because they have absolutely totally different coaching philosophies, and they're both very good on television.
And then with them being brothers, plays.
And that's a cool idea, but I mean, it's not going to happen. Okay, Ed.
Taking my call, guys.
Okay, thanks very much. You can call us at 1-800-878-PLAY. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter. Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. We're here every Sunday night, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, 5 to 7 Pacific Time on Sirius Satellite Radio, Channel 122, and the Sports Byline Radio Network. We're going to go to Sam in Cleveland. Sam, how are you doing?
Good. Am I on?
You are on the air.
All right. I was just wondering why they didn't do a draft this year.
They still may, although I don't think it's happening in the next couple of weeks, so they may not. Vince McMahon said they were going to do it. It drew great ratings last year, and I have no idea why it wouldn't be done if it's not being done. But they may just be waiting for another month or so because there's, just because of the European tour and everything like that, it just may not be practical to do it in the next couple of weeks. I'll check on that, but I know it's not being done like in the next 2 or 3 weeks, but, Vince did say he was doing it, so I don't know.
All right. And who do you think they're going to have storylines for the champions coming up?
With Cena, probably Angle.
Eddie.
And Guerrero, I was going to say that. Those would be the best ones if no one's going to jump over. And with Batista, it's going to be Triple H and Edge, it looks like, right?
I figure Eddie's got to win the tournament because if you're going to turn him heel, you need to get some babyface title matches out of him.
Really? I think JBL's going to win the tournament because I think that they're going to prove that they can have, which would be a really bad idea because not only that's going to do a bad buy rate and it's going to probably be not a great match also.
God, so it's going to be 2 months of rematches.
They're only a couple weeks apart.
Yeah.
But the first and 22nd. Yeah. I don't know. It might be Eddie, I don't think it's going to be Angle. I think that Angle's going to be down the road. Although Angle, certainly earned it. Got to say that.
Now, are they doing anything more with Paul London on SmackDown? Like, I know he's the champion and stuff, but are they going to, keep doing matches every week?
With who?
Paul London.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're going to do stuff with the cruiserweights. I think, we're at the thing, and this happens about every year or so. There's this period where they're going to do something with the cruiserweights, but then when it doesn't work immediately, or even if it does, it gets dropped. It gets dropped because the people who are running the company are really not into cruiserweights, so they lose interest in it. And I think that we're in that period where they're going to have a little bit of interest because they're bringing in some new guys in a couple of weeks. Super Crazy and Juventud Guerrera and Psychosis. And I 6 months from now, I expect the cruiserweights to be exactly where they are because that's always how it ends up.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Okay, very welcome. Let's go to Ian in Toronto. Ian, what's going on?
Hey, Dave. I just want to say WrestleMania, pretty good show. Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels absolutely stole the show. I mean, Kurt Angle, he's doing the moonsault. He hasn't done that for quite a long time. Just that spot was... He's really risking it. His love is definitely more than for his injury.
He kind of hit his head when he did it on Sean's body.
Yeah, but moonsault, Bryan. On that one, isn't most of your the punishment on a moonsault on your knees?
Yeah. Well, it really depends on how you land, but yeah, your knees are gonna.
Yeah, his knees. Not that his knees are great because no part of his body is great at this point, but it's the neck stuff that's the thing you got to worry about with Kurt.
And yeah, it's like I said, probably a couple of years since I've seen him busted out.
Yeah, that's because he was kind of told that that's not the kind of character they want him to do. But when it comes to, you know, the idea where Kurt went in with this idea that I have to have the greatest match of all time, and, you know, whether it was that, I wouldn't say it was that, but he had a great match. You know, you've got to, that's when you pull out all the stops, you know, at WrestleMania for Kurt. You know, they weren't, you know, Kurt wasn't thinking about, you know, protecting his injuries in that match. He was thinking about having a great match. Most nights he's going to, you know, whether he needs to think about protecting his injuries and protecting his career. You know, so I don't see him doing moonsaults unless it's like, you know, WrestleMania or just something where he's going to do a 30-minute match.
And what I was impressed with, too, in that match was that had to have been the best match I've seen WWE do in terms of doing a big, long, dramatic build. It was tremendous. Yeah,
I thought it was excellent. That was an excellent match. I mean, Bryan thought it was better than I did, but I thought it was excellent, too.
I'm a mark for those two.
Yeah, Bryan loves Shawn Michaels, you know. I mean, hey, as a wrestler, the guy's one of the best there's ever been, so, you know, can't argue that.
Taker Orton was better than I thought it would be, too. JBL Cena, that's not a championship match, in my opinion, the way they did it. They rushed it out there. Not saying a long match would have been good for the two of them, but doing JBL dominating most of the match and then having Cena just win in like 30 seconds of offense at the end, it makes JBL's title reign look cheap, and it makes Cena's win look like a fluke. And I don't think it helps anybody.
Yeah, I think that they were afraid of John Cena having a bad match, so they laid it out in a way where it almost guaranteed John Cena would have a bad match. They didn't want to give him too much offense for fear that on his big night, you know, he might screw up his offense. And, you know, they screwed themselves with that mentality, although, you know, the other way wouldn't have been any better. You know, if he'd had a bad match, you know, I mean, I don't know. They weren't going to have a great match. They were put in a position on the card where it was going to be very tough anyway. And let's face it, you know, you just hit people over the head with the fact that SmackDown was the inferior brand, and this whole build-up has been about that. You know, it's bound to happen. And, you know, they didn't give it the pyro. I mean, to me, John Cena needed a big speech when it was over, because the one thing John Cena is great at is talking, and we didn't get that, and that was bad planning.
All we heard was the champ is here about 10 times on SmackDown on Thursday.
Yeah, well, his interview at the end, I thought, by the end of his interview, I thought
it picked up by the end, yeah.
Yeah, it started slow, but it picked up at the end. But he needed to do an interview, or they needed to do fireworks for him, because, you know, like when that thing was over, especially with the way they treated the Batista win, I mean, if it wasn't second rate, and it was in everyone's mind, when it was over, it was even third rate. So, you know, that was what it was. And you know, it was important. Obviously, the most important things on that show were Cena and Batista. I mean, it was a really good show. But, you know, the stuff that was really good was the stuff that could have been bad for the long term, or, you know, not as good. If you know what I'm saying. The real important stuff didn't hit a home run.
Mm-hmm. And the ladder match was incredible, too. I thought it was a lot safer than previous ladder matches WWE has done, but it was still really excellent. And Benjamin and Benoit were the stars. Benjamin with the running up the ladder and doing the T-bone suplex off the ladder, and then you had Benoit who did incredible selling of the shoulder throughout the whole match. Just a great job by all.
Everyone, though. But yeah, I would say those two were the standouts, wouldn't you, Bryan?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, just everyone involved in that ladder match, you know, Kane as well, you know, they all did a good job.
I really wasn't even surprised by Orton and Undertaker.
It was better than it was better.
Pretty good.
It was better than I expected. I will say that. I was pleasantly surprised.
And lastly, just want to talk about, I'd be remiss if I didn't, last night's Ultimate Fighter show. I mean, 15 minutes of excitement that I've never felt before watching an MMA show between the Forrest Griffin and Stephan Bonnar fight. I was actually standing up for the whole thing.
I was
clenching my fists and moving my arms around. I was just really cheering on both.
You were like Chuck Liddell.
They should have shown Chuck in the little box because he knows both those guys.
Oh, yeah.
I'll bet he was doing that, him and Willa.
And Dana was right into it, too.
Everyone was, you should have heard about the executive. You should have heard the executives from Spike going like, oh, my God, this is on our TV station.
In a good way or a bad way?
Oh, in a good way. Really good way.
more
One thing I do have to say about Dana, though, was I really did not need to see the Dana cam in the middle of that. This giant face right in the middle of the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of dejected a bit from the match. But one thing that the UFC did that I think is even more important than the fact they had an awesome fight is they legitimately created some new stars going forward that people will recognize.
Yes.
It will gain momentum for their product.
Yes.
With Diego, with Stefan, with Forrest, and even with Rich Franklin beating Shamrock, the legend.
It couldn't. In that sense, as far as the whole goal of the series was to make stars, and they with this thing as the final show, we figured they would make 2, maybe 3, and they ended up making 4, so they're way ahead of the game in that sense.
It sucks to be Kenny. I kept thinking that as well.
Kenny Florian.
Yeah, of all the fights that aired on TV, he was the guy that lost and didn't get a contract.
Well, he lost.
Yeah.
It's too bad because I wish that they could have shown some of those prelims because I heard those prelims. I heard Mike Swick and Josh Koscheck, and not just him, Nate Quarry as well.
I am sad I never got to see Nate fight.
Yeah, he had a great fight last night from what I heard.
I am worried, too, about the fact that they had just package after video package for like half an hour, and I'm just worried that a lot of people may have tuned out, right?
I don't think so, but you're right. I certainly wouldn't have gone 35, 40 minutes, whatever it was, before our first fight. Ian, we got to go because we got a full bank of calls, okay?
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Okay, very welcome. Let's go to Gino in San Francisco. Gino, what's going on? Gino, are you there? Hello, Gino. Let's go to Kyle. Kyle, what's going on?
Dave, first off, Bryan, now that you're an ordained minister, my wife and I are talking about renewing our vows in June.
I'm the man.
Kyle, hold on. We're going to get back to you right after the break, okay? All right, we'll be back right after this. You're listening to Wrestling Observer live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. Dave Meltzer, editor of Wrestling Observer News. Go to Bryan Alvarez, a Figure 4 Weekly. We're going to go to Kyle in St. Paul. Kyle, what's happening?
Yo, guys. All right, 2 things on The Ultimate Fighter last night. I loved it. Obviously, it was a great show. Here's my idea for a 3rd season. Go back to the old school roots of UFC. Get 4 boxers, 4 judo guys, 4 karate guys, and 4 wrestlers with no MMA training, and train them from the start up. Because at least with competitive athletes, unlike, say, Tough Enough, you could put them in a fight after 3 weeks and nobody would complain.
That's an interesting concept.
I guess so.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, for the 3rd season, that's a good one because 2nd season we would have the heavyweights and the welterweights. It would add a dimension to it. The problem is that when you get the pure guy going in, when it comes to being in the real ultimate, unless you've got the highest level pure guy, I mean, a high level pure guy in judo, often, as we've seen with Pride, they sometimes can do okay. The high level pure guy in wrestling can do okay. If you have like an NCAA champion like Josh Koscheck,
sure. I
think if you get some high level boxers, they're going to get killed. But then again, maybe for the first of all, you can't get them because they're going to be too expensive. But maybe it's maybe just for the educational experience for everyone. I do agree with you. I think that would be very intriguing. I like that idea.
They have to do something down the line. They can't just keep doing the show over and over, because eventually that'll get tired. So it's just an idea down the road for something they could do.
Yeah, it's a really good idea.
So here's my...
But you need, when it comes to the judo guys, I mean, you would need nationally ranked guys. When it comes to wrestlers, you would need, nationally ranked guys. And the problem would be the boxers who, because you're going to have to get some real... Because you can't get the nationally ranked boxers,
right?
And then you can get karate guys, I suppose. But the thing with the boxers is, and then you have the whole thing where the boxing guys will go like, oh, but you had second-rate boxers, because you don't want you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
And that's the crutch at the end when the boxers don't do well, which they won't.
Right. Well, they always have a puncher's chance, though. I mean, again, that's why it's better than, say, a Tough Enough, where that doesn't work. Because in the end, whoever wins, you can put that guy, like we saw last night, on TV, and nobody's going to complain if he only has a year training, or if he's Josh Koscheck and only has 5 fights.
Yeah.
Unlike Tough Enough, if the guy's only got 5 matches, he can't be on Raw every week.
Yeah, they tried that with Daniel Puder and how many with 0 matches, right? 0 matches.
So here's my question.
That only lasted about 2 weeks.
They're paying these guys $350,000. Who the heck is Forrest Griffith going to fight in the light heavyweight division? I mean, you can't put him against Randy Couture.
What?
You can't put him against Randy Couture.
Oh, no.
Or, and there aren't any other light heavyweights that aren't at that level.
Well, we're gonna find some. we're gonna see some new light heavyweights that we don't know. Alex Schoenauer.
Keep up the good work.
Okay, all right. Thanks very much, Kyle. We will be back right after this with hour number 2. You're listening to the Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network.
Welcome back to Hour 2 of the Wrestling Observer with Dave Meltzer and Bryan Alvarez.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Let's get it on!
Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. Dave Meltzer, editor of Wrestling Observer Newsletter. Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. We're here from 5 to 7 Pacific Time, 8 to 10 Eastern Time, every Sunday night, covering pro wrestling and mixed martial arts, and tons of talk about UFC. By the way, we have one line open at 1-800-878-PLAY, so you can jump on in, and we will start taking calls. Like right this second, we're going to go to Berkeley, California, and Mitch. Mitch, what's going on?
Hey, how are you guys?
We're doing great.
Happy post-WrestleMania.
Oh, thank you very much.
How's that for cheesy? I just wanted to talk to you guys basically about the effect that you guys can have on the industry and how it crosses over. And basically what brings me to the topic is the Kevin Nash interview with Wade Keller and how that affected backstage politics with Dusty and the TNA locker room, and just wanted to see any more that you knew about that. And what, maybe the ramifications of it were, and if it was a good or bad idea.
There's a lot I can say about it, but I can't.
Right.
Because, put it this way, you would think that from reading that interview that when Kevin Nash, when he went back to work, if he was even going to go back to work, right?
Yeah.
That he would have incredible heat.
Right.
He had no heat at all.
It's Kevin Nash.
It had nothing to do with it being Kevin Nash.
You don't think so?
Oh, I know. There's stuff I know about this one. He had no heat at all, and you're going to have to come to your own conclusions of what that means.
Wow.
But as far as
Keller said that there was some, but not a lot. None.
Well, I mean, there might have been heat among people not in the know, and there certainly was going to be heat with Dusty Rhodes.
Right. I think that Dustin.
Yeah, I'm sure Dustin Rhodes wasn't happy. Sure, in that sense. But as far as the management, of TNA, there was no heat whatsoever.
Right.
They were very happy.
And in that, let me ask you guys this: it really, and the fact that you can't, say a lot about it, I totally understand, and it brings me, to the point of which that you guys are in such a unique situation, especially doing interviews, because it's like you want to get this candid, 2020 interview, but yet you can only get so much. And I think that definitely you get more than that you would on. I mean, I hate Jay Leno interviews because you don't get anything out of them. But
they're not designed. They're entertainment interviews to promote stuff.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I guess my point is, if you still look at interviewing entertainment, entertainers, you guys still get so much. But it's like, where does the line cross? With different ones, like who would you go 100% with, and who would you hang back with, and how do you know how to do that?
Well, with me, I never tell anyone who I'm talking to unless it's on the show, in which case it's common knowledge.
Right. And
I mean, that's the key. I think that everyone knows that, if they talk to me for the most part, unless they're so big that it doesn't matter, and there's only a few people who I would, who are, that, they can say what they need to say. You know, and a lot of people, you got to remember a lot of people grew up reading me. You know, I think that helps a lot.
And you've done it forever.
Yeah, because I've been doing it for forever, and people who are big stars in wrestling grew up reading the Observer, so it's kind of a part of wrestling to them, even if a lot of other people who didn't, really hate it.
I've actually been finding myself getting into TNA lately, and it's, of course, because I'm, someone that reads you, it's all because of the X Division. And, for me, watching that four-way before WrestleMania wasn't as hardcore as, going from, watching UFC to WWE, but I got to tell you that it was like, that stuff that they're doing is amazing, and I especially wanted to ask Bryan, since he's kind of...
Mitch, you're going to have to hold on because we're late on the break, okay? So just hold on. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter, with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. We're here every Sunday night here on the Sports Byline Radio Network, Sirius Satellite Radio Channel 122. We're going to go back to Mitch, talking about the X Division in TNA. What's going on?
Yeah, I especially wanted to ask Bryan, but obviously both of you guys, as far as these young guys, that's one of the few, these smaller promotions, but that being the biggest of the smaller on TV, doing lots of high spots and seeing the way that the WWE has changed. When you guys watch it, do you guys think, oh, God, they shouldn't be doing Hurricane Ranas off the cage and these guys are going to get hurt, and do you think that could be a future of a mainstream look, or do you think it's something that's just kind of been there, done that, Japan, and, maybe it'll sink, maybe it'll swim, but it's not a big deal?
I think that... I think it's okay to do a lot of that stuff now because it separates TNA from WWE.
Right.
I don't know how long they can get away with doing Hurricane Ranas off the cage before people have seen everything and it loses its luster. But for now, I think it's okay. And also I think that, like, AJ Styles in particular, I think a lot of people think that he's just a high spot guy and he's just doing a bunch of wacky moves with no rhyme or reason, but he's actually a really good worker.
He's awesome.
I love him.
He's awesome. I don't want to hear anything. I mean, like, when I hear people say stuff bad about him, it's like he's awesome.
AJ Styles and a high spot-rific indie guy are two completely different things.
Right.
But I mean,
on the other hand,
it's all in the context of what you do. I mean, you can. I mean, put it this way, a Hurricane Rana off the top of the cage. You're not going to get a cage match on every show.
Well, you are on the next one.
I know. Well, that's
Sorry about that.
But you know what I'm saying.
Right.
If you do it, if you make it a bland move and you overdo anything, it will lose its specialness. And if you don't play it up big, it will lose its specialness.
And it also depends on the audience that you're playing for.
Right.
Yeah.
If you have an audience that does not get into that sort of thing and you try it, you're going to be met with no reaction whatsoever. And if you're in an audience that is expecting that and you don't give it to them, they're going to hate the match.
Right.
So there's a lot of factors, and the TNA crowd right now is expecting a certain sort of deal.
Right. And
you have to give that to them.
Well, X Division has to be. It's like X Division has to be a certain way, or it won't get over.
Do you guys feel that it's super unsafe, the stuff they're doing?
Most of the stuff isn't super unsafe. I mean, what Alex Skipper did, it was amazing and all that, but I hope he never does it again. And I, when he was doing it, I was hoping that he would live. So, that stuff is, when the margin of error is like that, no, I hope that they don't do it. But when it's something that's, you're not going to get hurt on and it's spectacular, I don't see any reason not to do it.
And when WWE switched their style and they're not doing it anymore for those reasons, I was expecting, because it was WrestleMania, for Guerrero and Mysterio, because Mysterio supposedly likes to do a lot of that stuff that he can't do anymore. But correct me if I'm wrong, of course. But they couldn't do it on WrestleMania because if you do it once in a blue moon, then people are going to come to expect it. Do you think that that's a pro or a con?
No, if it's at WrestleMania, I think that you do it.
They should have. Then I believe they should have done it, because I'm not as sensitive and I don't know enough about the business as you guys were. When I watch something and I pay, I don't think, oh, God, I hope he doesn't get hurt the way you guys do. And maybe I should. I more think, Juice, you animal, give me my money's worth.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is you want to make it to where the littlest means the most. But I think at WrestleMania, WrestleMania is that time of the year where you don't really... to me, you don't want to hold anything back. And they weren't holding anything back. I think they were just trying to do a match, and you know, it wasn't the match that they wanted to do. That, you know, I don't think they had the time to do what they wanted to do. And then, you know, Eddie's very emotional, and you know, if Eddie's match goes wrong, you know, especially with pressure on, you know, and you saw what happened. I mean, it still was a good match, but
it wasn't what you wanted.
It wasn't what they wanted, and it wasn't what anyone would have hoped for, and for those two guys in that spot on that show. No.
And the final question was for guys like me that don't do the through the mail stuff. Is there any future that you guys would have a full online setup? Because I can tell you that's something. I'm on the computer all the time. That's something that I would definitely put my money into, because I participate a lot in this show, but I don't pay a damn thing, and I kind of feel guilty. Is that something that could be in the future works for you, or not going to happen because you're doing fine on the newsletters?
I can't see. I mean, I won't say anything about, you know, the future. Who knows? But right now, I don't want to change what I'm doing, and I don't want to. You have no idea how many hours I work, and I'm not going to work more hours.
Gotcha. I'm sure.
I mean, the newsletter is what it is, and the newsletter's doing fine, and I don't want to. I want the newsletter to do what it's doing. I'm like thrilled that it's still, you know. It's still where it is, believe me.
Well, cool. I just wanted to put that out there, so you know that, you know, since I'm not writing you checks every month, I'm not some mooch that just calls up. I'm just. It's hard enough for me to read the books by my bed.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just on the computer all the time. So.
Okay, no problem.
Thanks so much, you guys.
Okay. Peace. We're gonna go to Jeff in New York. Jeff, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Not too much.
Just wanted to comment on the UFC special yesterday. That was. Really, the match itself, that match was absolutely amazing. Like, I can't remember the last time, maybe when I was really young, when I, grew up on a lot of the big time 70s, 80s wrestlers, but, you know, maybe that was the last time I could remember, like, being so involved in a match, because I think after the match, I was actually, like, almost crying to the point where I was so happy.
Oh, you mean when Dana comes out there and gives the second contract?
Yeah.
I expected it when round 2 was over. I was expecting it, and I was going like, if they don't do this, they're fools. But even then, when he did it, I don't know if it was the timing or what. It was so freaking awesome.
It was like that. Yeah, it was a moment.
Yeah, it was like when Elizabeth showed up at that one WrestleMania. Remember?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm not being facetious. I remember it was like, wow, you know, like, that was a real amazing thing. I mean, it was one of those things where, you know, like, even me, when I was watching that, I'm going like, boy, they really did something good there. When Elizabeth showed up with Macho Man at, I think it was, I don't remember which WrestleMania. I think it was WrestleMania 7.
It was right, no, wasn't it SummerSlam right after he retired?
I think it was he lost a retirement match to Ultimate Warrior, didn't he?
Yeah, I think that was
I think that was WrestleMania 7.
Yeah, that was it.
It was WrestleMania 7 in LA.
Okay.
And I just go like, man, that was just, I didn't, you know, it was like, wow, that's just like so good. I saw, you know what was really good? In Japan, a lot of the women's matches are like that, because their facials and their ability to work in the despair and everything like that. And I've seen some women's matches where you just see everyone in the crowd crying when it's over. And it's just such a scene. But I mean, I never thought I would ever see that in UFC. Ever.
Yeah, I know. It was absolutely incredible. Just incredible. It really was. I was actually very impressed also with, maybe it was also the emotion, but they're pretty good. They're pretty good at cutting promos, better than, you know, I would say maybe.
Those two guys were so good. Forrest Griffin especially. I mean, Bonner was good, but Forrest Griffin, his package. You know, where it's just like, well, you know, I went home, I got drunk. I mean, it was really, in a sense, I'm going like, you know, God, you have the golden opportunity, and all you did was party and go out and get drunk, and finally you got yourself.
He buckled down.
But he did buckle down and all that. But you know what, though? I mean, and he said it, and I mean, Joe Rogan kind of blew him off when he said it, but the truth was, he was the one who got tired first.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't think he was going to last the 3 rounds, and if they had to go into overtime, I don't know. I mean, like, you know, I say one thing, like, he was good because one of the greatest lines I think I've ever heard in a fight was last night when he said, like, I was hoping that he would really hit me solid so I could go down. I was so tired. That was like so awesome.
Oh yeah,
so crazy. I loved when they announced Griffin won, and then you saw Bonner. He just went to his knees like
he was shot.
I thought he fainted.
Yeah.
Like he fainted.
Yeah, I think he thought he won the fight, and
well, if you look at Forrest's face, he did too.
Yeah, but
I think the key was that at the end, when they were both dead, his dead body was still trying to hit the other man's body.
They were both trying, but Forrest was hitting him more at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Anything else, Chef, or anything else? Because we got to hit a break.
No, that's it. Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay, thank you very much. We will be back with more. You're listening to the Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter, with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. You can always go to www.wrestlingobserver.com. We have daily news updates, all the news from all over the place, as well as information on how to subscribe to the Wrestling Observer Newsletter that I put out every week. Figure 4 Weekly. There's previews of the current issues up there, the WrestleMania issues, and lots of stuff behind the scenes from all over the world, from mixed martial arts, professional wrestling, in there. This is quite the month. That's all I can tell you. And we're not even halfway through. We still got next week. We've got UFC, only the biggest match of the year in UFC and the biggest money match in UFC history, with Randy Couture and Chuck Liddell. Then the next week we only have the beginning of the greatest tournament ever, the Pride, which is on the 23rd.
The WCW World Title Tournament.
This will be better than the WCW World Title Tournament, yes. And then remember the WWE World Title Tournament? Remember that horrible one that they had on that pay-per-view? I'm not the one Jericho won.
I'm talking about the one where Medusa wrestled twice.
Yeah, that turn. No, I'm talking about the WWE one where I think The Rock won, didn't he? Or it was Mick Foley, and they did the Survivor Series ending.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Remember that? I just remember Rock wrestled Dan Severn, and it was just like I think the final was good, but it was like this terrible tournament.
Hey, I should mention right now before we go any further that somebody listening to our show right now just emailed to say that there is a UFC special on Fox Sports with Frank Trigg versus Matt Hughes.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Don't stop listening to this show to watch it.
Yeah, well, you know what I think is hilarious? It's like they're doing the Frank Hughes Matt Trigg rematch on Saturday night. So they show this match that Matt Hughes wins by choke in 3 minutes.
Well,
Well, remember that? I still love the first special that they showed. I mean, that was the classic of all classics.
Oh yeah.
Everyone on the show, let's show Robbie Lawler lose and Tito Ortiz lose right before a pay-per-view that no one bought the pay-per-view, and they wondered why. But they will be buying it because we got that tournament. We got 8 cage matches, and I'm not making this up, on the 24th with the TNA pay-per-view, and then the 30th there's a K1. Another tournament, which won't be the greatest tournament in the world by any means. And then, so that's on Saturday night, the 30th. And then the 1st, we have the greatest rematch in the history of wrestling with Triple H and Batista. And you know what? Sometimes things are really scary. And when I read Figure 4 this week, you know what was really scary?
What?
What you wrote about the greatest rematch in the history of wrestling. It was like the exact thing that I was thinking as soon as the minute he said that, I was on the phone with someone, and I said, we're going to get Masao and Kawada. and then a week later, I'm reading your thing, and you write the exact same thing.
How about Angle and Michaels? That's the other one I thought of.
Oh, well,
I must be speaking of one of these 2 matches. Oh, no, he's talking about himself.
Well, we will be getting Angle and Michaels soon, and we may be getting Masao and Kawada soon.
You really think soon with Angle and Michaels? I thought they'd wait till WrestleMania next year.
I don't think that we're going to get. I don't think it's going to be a year. Maybe SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Because
it's always questionable whether either man will be able to move in a year. So.
Yeah, but the fact is that if they had only sort of hinted it and said it once, I would say maybe it's for a year. But when Michaels talked about it a lot, and then Angle went and talked about it again on SmackDown, I think that it's more imminent.
Yeah.
It might be on one of the next 2 pay-per-views.
No, too early.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe SummerSlam's the time.
As much as I want to see the rematch with Stefan and Forrest, part of me is the first one was so great. They can't top that.
No, but you know what?
But it'll sell some pay-per-views.
No, but you know what, though? They said that about Gotti Ward, and they said that about Barrera Morales, and you know what? The rematches were just as good.
Yeah.
If they go in there, if those 2 guys go in there with the mentality, that I'm not taking you down and you're not taking me down, they're going to have the exact same match.
Yeah, and they'll be in better condition, so they'll be punching each other harder.
Well, Forrest will be in better condition. For
Yeah.
sure. Okay. Well, God, there's so much
God,
going
they could not have picked two more charismatic men to have that fight either.
I knew Forrest had charisma. I didn't know Stephen did.
Oh, I did. As soon as he said, "I wish I had a beanie," many weeks ago, I knew it right there. And it was so great that when they did the recap of that show, they specifically took that one line and inserted it in there.
Oh, my God. I'll tell you what, though. I wanted to talk about wrestling today, but Diego, that was a great ring entrance.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
And the family. Oh, my God.
I thought that was Superstar Graham in the front row.
Oh, the dad?
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't.
The thing about that entrance was, for those of you that didn't see the show, for the four of you listening.
Okay, and for the four of you listening, at 11 o'clock on Spike, you at least have to watch the fight, and you probably like the whole show, but you have to watch the fight. Okay, go ahead.
So he came to the ring with a live mariachi band playing in the ring, and all I could think was UFC has been in business for how many years, and the first man to get a live concert is Diego Sanchez.
Well, they probably watched Triple H.
Oh, my God. No, they don't watch wrestling. It's a different demographic. But the point is, that was a great entrance.
As tonight's show proves.
Yeah, and it was a good thing that he won, too, because the last guy with a really tremendous entrance was Shoney Carter, and it's now whatever happened to.
Yeah. Let's go to Frank in Twin Cities. Frank, what's going on?
Oh, nothing much. I kind of have two questions. Yeah, they're both connected a little bit. First one is about how the WWE's leaving Spike, and how do you think a UFC show, either Ultimate Fighter or like a Tuesday Night Fights thing, would do up against Raw? Would it be like another Monday Night War sort of thing? That's what people were saying with TNA, but
I'd say more likely UFC than TNA.
Yeah, I would say, but I think that as much as they try to proclaim that they're a different demographic, deep down they know, and they don't want to go against Raw. I think they would rather go on Tuesday where they're not against Raw. And I mean, I know that the series, put it this way, you're not going to get a fight like that, maybe ever for the rest of our lives. But there are good fights. And it is, I like the idea of 52 weeks a year of exposure. I think that depending again on the ratings, if the ratings are big, I think that Spike is going to really try to make it worth UFC's while, because, Spike is looking to jump on board something. And there's a real key thing about UFC that has just come up, and you could see it in last night's show, and that was the commercials. They were able to get certain commercials that Raw cannot get. And they were able to get ad rates that Raw cannot get. So even though they will never, and I don't think a UFC will ever do the ratings that Raw is even doing now, let alone Raw, from years ago, but they may be able to deliver the ad rates, and they may be a better TV buy with lower ratings for Spike. So I think that Spike is, again, if the show last night does a 1.7 or something, and then they'll go, oh my God, you need the wrestling lead in. But if it does a 3, I just can't see UFC not at least having I think 1 hour or 90 minutes, 2 hours is a lot of time every week. I think 90 minutes may be better than 1 hour, but that might not work perfectly, the way TV schedule works. But I like the idea of a weekly show. But not against Raw. I don't want to go through. It might be the greatest thing for everyone if that happens. But boy, that was a tough period of life. That's being selfish on my part, but. As much as exciting as that Monday night period was, I don't know if I can handle it again.
Yeah.
Boy, those 5-hour nights. Oh. Anyway, anything else, Frank?
I was wondering when the WWE goes on to NBC Universal. I can't remember how long they have the Olympics, but when the Olympics come next year, because I remember.
Yeah, but they're not. Well, if USA has some Olympic stuff, yeah.
I remember last year, almost the whole day is Olympics, NBC Olympics, USA Olympics, Telemundo. So, will that affect?
Yeah, the Olympics will take precedent over wrestling. Yes, it'll affect them.
Oh, so I just get a...
I can't imagine... If USA is going to be doing Olympic coverage, I cannot imagine on a Monday night them not, maybe not. But I, maybe they'll let Raw stay just because, the fact is NBC is going to have it, and, MSNBC can have it. They got other networks, too. Yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot of... USA, I think, is going to be pretty solid. Telemundo, who knows? And there may be some moves and preemptions.
God, I was just thinking about that Telemundo show, and when WCW got their Lucha show.
Yeah, that's a big overrated part of this deal. I don't even consider it as. I mean, WCW's had it, WWF's had it. They both had it in the past. They did nothing with it.
Well, that's the point I'm trying to make. What a disaster it was the first time. They did nothing with it.
Yeah, and they're not going.
The idea was, let's put a bunch of Mexicans on the show who are losing to the white man.
Yeah,
and maybe that will work.
Yeah, and then So yeah, it's not going to be it's not going to be a big deal on that one, I don't think. Okay, anything else, Frank?
No, thanks.
Okay, very welcome. We'll be back with more right after this. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, welcome back to Wrestling Observer Live. Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter, with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. We're going to go to Jim in Martinsburg, Virginia. Jim, what's going on?
Hey, Dave. How y'all doing?
We're doing great.
Got a couple questions for you. I want to, where are they now? Whatever happened to the wrestling journalist Nick Mancuso?
Rich Mancuso.
Rich Mancuso. I want to call him Nick Rich.
Yeah, Rich Mancuso, I just heard his name, and I think it was associated with boxing. Maybe he's working for one of the... I don't know what happened to him, but I know I just recently read his name doing some journalism when I think it may have had to do with one of the boxing fights recently.
Yeah, before y'all started y'all show, I used to listen to him on the fan on the radio, and I lost a lot of sleep because he'd come on
at 3 in the morning. I used to do that show.
Yeah.
On Saturday nights. It was midnight. It was midnight our time and 3 in the morning there, and so many people listened to that show. Every time I did that show, I would get like 3 dozen, subscriptions, within the week. It was awesome. It was the greatest thing for business. At 3 in the morning, of course it was a different era and everything like that. And, yeah, they were really good. And, God, I just remember a bunch of stories from those Saturday night shows. But yeah, that was a really cool thing when the WFAN in New York had the wrestling show with Rich and Jody Mack.
Talk about SmackDown. I thought SmackDown was pretty good this week.
Well, I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was bad. I didn't blow me away. I still like Raw better this week.
Oh, I did too. But I'll tell you the one that really surprised me. Was the cruiserweight match between Kidman and London. I like.
Oh, because of all the blood.
Yeah. Who played it there?
I'm surprised that aired because that's the most blood actual red blood that I've ever seen on that show.
Yeah, I think it was an accident. I don't think that it was meant to be.
I thought it was an accident, but I can't believe they aired it.
I expected them to have like spots and stuff, like those edit spots. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was surprised it edited in the form it did too.
Well, what got me was I was looking at Kidman's hands with all the tape, and I thought maybe he had a blade somewhere on it.
Yeah, but I don't think that was. I could be wrong, but I don't think that was it.
I don't see him wasting the blood on those two men.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you another thing that I'm really getting tired of is all these hometown hero matches with Angle. Angle beating up these guys from these towns. It's getting old real quick.
Well, last Thursdays did an incredible quarter hour. Really? like incredible. So in that sense, I think that we'll have more. But the reason they're doing this is so Angle doesn't have to do regular matches every week and to protect him because they're Kurt's in far worse shape than you would ever believe watching WrestleMania. Even looking I guess you can tell by looking at his arms and everything. But they're trying to stretch his career out for as long as possible and not have him. This is a great gimmick, that he can just, do these things. And it is taking a long time and everything, but it's not dying yet in the ratings. And so I actually see it happening for a ways to come.
Good.
I'll tell you another thing I've always been wondering about Eddie Guerrero. Where does he get all those custom cars at?
I think that they probably go to local car clubs. I'm just guessing. I don't know. Do you know, Bryan?
Well, I think they just go to whatever city they're in. They just find a place.
When he had that 57 Chevrolet
to use on TV. Because sometimes you'll see some sort of plug on the car or something.
Yeah. I just wondered what the deal on that was. Another thing, I never was clear about what was the deal with Zach Gowen. Why was he let go?
Brian, you want to?
Too white.
Brian knows this one.
Okay.
Well, I mean, basically, he never did anything to improve. They told him to get a tan. He wouldn't. He had an attitude. He annoyed people. Am I missing anything?
He was very immature. He was handed an incredible gimmick, and he was an incredible worker. I mean, a lot of people take that away from him, but I was impressed. He was phenomenal, but I mean, and there was a shelf life for what he could do, of course, and he's already. The nature of what he did because of the one leg, he was going to get hurt, and he is hurting pretty bad already from it. But, the bottom line was he was very, very immature. He was 19 years old. He can talk like crazy, but he was, I couldn't imagine a 19-year-old put in that spot and doing as well as he did talking-wise. But, he got too much too soon. It went to his head, and, they had to get rid of him because he was just immature, I guess.
I'll tell you, have y'all ever watched the show Curb Your Enthusiasm?
I have seen the show, yeah.
Did you ever see the one where they had the wrestler character on there?
No, because I've only seen the show maybe twice.
I had this guy named Thor on it, and he cut Larry's tires on it because it's something about he did something to his kids, and he got mad when driving the car behind. Anyway, Larry goes in and tells his kids how phony wrestling is. Mm-hmm. And oh man, it's just hilarious. I mean, one other thing I was going to ask you before I let you go. Is it my imagination, or did wrestling, like when you had the studio shows years ago, I'm going way back, like down here we had the Crockett's were at WRL, and
Yeah.
Were those shows better than the ones now?
Actually, I think the shows now are better, but because the standards are so high, that you don't notice it. I do think that the interviews then, as a general rule, are much better than now. Especially the Crockett's in that era when they had Ric Flair and Roddy. Oh, they used to have Ric Flair and Roddy Piper on interviews doing 2 promos a week. Come on. Like I think the general. So that's what I think the promos were better. And
I'll tell you one thing that really. I know they do it because they can get more people and make more money, but I really miss the high school shows they used to do.
Well, they still have them. It's just they're independent shows. WWE's just not doing them.
Yeah.
Especially where you live, my God. I mean, they got those things in Lenore. That's the hottest indie stuff in the country right now.
What sanction is that?
Carolina Championship Wrestling. They run about once a month in Lenore. They do 1,500 people most of the time. They're out. Dusty Rhodes is the top star. It's the same guys that were in the Crockett territory, the Rock and Roll
Scaffold match the other night.
Rock and Roll Express and Scaffold match last night.
Oh my God! Whose idea was that?
Yeah, I don't know about a Scaffold match now. Or I never liked them even when they had them. But I mean, but they know how to get the reaction from those people.
Right.
They're smart wrestlers.
Well, I love your show. Take it easy.
And smart promoters.
Yeah. Let's go to. We're gonna go to Chris in Hampton, New Hampshire. Chris, what's happening?
How you doing tonight, Dave?
Doing really good.
I just wanted to talk about the retirement of the Crush Gals.
That was last weekend.
Yeah, and that wasn't Chigusa's retirement today, actually?
It was this afternoon, yeah.
Yeah, you know how that went over?
Probably exactly how you imagined it.
Is this the final retirement, or you think she might?
No, I think. Well, you never say never in wrestling, but I think it is. I think this is what's worse about this deal is for someone, and I watched that stuff in its heyday, probably almost as much as anyone.
Yeah.
And it was really sad. And I haven't seen the shows yet, and I was sad just reading about it. And I was really sad last week writing about it. Because it's not just, it's one thing the Crush Gals retired. I saw them retire in the 80s,
1989 was like their first one, wasn't it?
Yeah, when they retired in 89, and it was sad then. But this is the end of women's wrestling.
Yeah, I know, with All Japan Women's Club.
I mean, it's not, yeah, it's going to exist, but the big time, the Gaia closing is more than all Japan Women, they've been dead for years. It's just, they were on life support. But the Gaia closing is really sad.
Yeah.
And, especially because they were making a run, they were a successful company. And I know why they did it, and it was very unique reasons for doing it, but, yeah, it's really, for those of you who never saw it, and I really feel sorry for you in a sense, from 1980, maybe even late 70s through maybe 1997, Japanese women's wrestling. It was a cultural thing that you could not imagine here. As much as I like watching Trish Stratus and stuff, you can't. It's not even. She ain't even in the same league as these women. It's just something that you just had to see week in and week out, and how good some of those women worked, and how hard they trained, and it's really sad to see that era of that part of wrestling just gone. Like the territory's gone. So those happened years ago.
Yeah, there was a match I watched the other day because I wasn't too familiar with the Crush Gals, but I guess it would have been near their retirement, and the heat was like I've never seen anything like that. The girls are screaming and. Yeah,
I think that the most heated shows that I ever saw were women's wrestling shows in Japan.
Yeah, and the streamers, it was like it was an ungodly amount of streamers thrown.
I saw Devil Masami's first retirement, and oh my God! And then obviously Chigusa's first retirement was just incredible.
Yeah.
Just. Everyone crying and everything, and I saw live a Manami Toyota Toshio Yamada hair versus hair match that was just everyone in the audience crying. I mean,
that was at was that August '92, I think it was.
Yeah, August '92 when I was in Japan, and that was I hate to say the greatest match I ever saw, but if you ask me one, that one pops in my head quicker than anyone because everybody's crying when that thing's over, and it was an incredible match. And the referee is just drenched in sweat because he had to go up and down for their, it's just incredible.
Yeah.
All those near falls.
All right, well, thanks for taking my call, Dave.
Okay, you're very welcome.
All right, bye.
Okay, let's go to Adam in Cedar Rapids. Adam, what's going on?
Not much. How you doing?
Doing really good.
I just really want to bring up some brief. I'm sure there's a lot of people that want to get on the show. So my big thing right now is the state of TNA. And I read a while ago Bryan was on a radio show, and he made a comment that he felt that TNA was pretty much going to be out of business by the end of the year. And I read that, and I said, wow, that's kind of a bold statement right now when every year when they come around that anniversary show, they like to throw it in a lot of people's faces and say, well, guess what, we're still here when you said we wouldn't be. And they're still losing money, obviously, but they like to kind of brag that around. And I've been a big supporter of the promotion ever since it started, but right now, probably even with the horrible Nashville shows for quite a while, I could still somewhat tolerate those with some better matches. But right now, to me, it just seems like they're trying to do stuff that worked when they first started doing the monthly shows by bringing the Ultimate X back, and now they're bringing the Six Sides of Steel back, and to make every match on this card inside of that, to me, just doesn't make any sense. And to me right now, I mean, I don't get Impact anymore. I sent you a note about this, Fox Sports in the month.
Oh, that's right, in Cedar Rapids. Yeah, you lost it.
Yeah, I lost it, and I asked why, and they said, sorry, we got Comcast now, and I didn't understand it, and they just said they dropped it. But so I guess to me, I'm not going to be able to see it, even though Impact's not a big deal. But to me, they're just trying to go back to old stuff that worked before, and to me, the Ultimate X at the last show wasn't as good as the first one they did in January, and to me, it just seems like they're trying to rehash, and it's not working, and I'm losing interest really fast, and that's kind of scary for somebody like me who really wants to see an alternative to WWE.
Hey, we all want to see, from day one, all wanted to see them make it. The problem was their original battle plan was not good. They had when they finally did the monthly pay-per-view and everything like that, and they did all right. It looked like that there was a glimmer, but and a lot of it. There's so much going on that it's hard to keep. They're kind of losing their footing but at the same time, they're the 8-cage match show. I think that was really something that a lot of people looked at and said, wow, they really are in trouble now.
And I think that reeks of something is wrong.
It is. There's no question that it is.
Really quick, I hear the music, so I'll just ask this really quick. Spike TV, should we get excited about that or just forget about it?
What, for TNA and Spike TV?
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really not.
All right, thanks.
Okay, you're very welcome. Okay, anyway, we will be back right after this. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Radio Network. Okay, listen to our final segment here on Wrestling Observer Live. Dave Meltzer, editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, with Bryan Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. We're going to Amos in Iowa. What's going on, Amos?
Hey, hello. I was want to talk about the way they had John Cena drop the title to Orlando Jordan prior to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I think part of the problem with changing of titles, sometimes they kind of give away the result of the title change.
You mean you mean their patterns have become predictable?
Yes, and I believe if they would have left the title on Cena, and they could have made it like a title versus title match, then it might not have been so predictable. And then like when Ultimate Warrior won the title from Hulk Hogan, I believe it was WrestleMania.
That was title versus title.
Yeah, it was, but then ultimately he had to vacate the title,
and they did,
and they had to terminate it for the Intercontinental title.
Right.
I was thinking that instead of making the champion vacate the lesser title, to let him defend both titles.
They did it with Shawn Michaels. Remember when he had the WWF title and the European title at the same time?
Yeah.
And then he didn't want to lose either of them.
Huh?
And he didn't want to lose either of them, and they were really in trouble.
I beg your pardon?
Sean had 2 belts, and he didn't want to lose either of them. He ended up handing it to Hunter because he didn't want to lose it.
Well, ultimately, I think what they could do, because, they would have like a match where both titles were online at the same time, where the champion, the world champion and the U.S. champion would defend the title at the same time. And then, like, let's say if the challenger won the title within the first 10 minutes, then he would win both titles. And then after that, he would only be fighting for the U.S. title.
It always can be done. They used to do that with TV titles against the world title, where, like, the TV title would only be up for a certain number of minutes, but then the other title would be up for, like, the hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's been done. That was done in some NWA territories before.
I think the problem with the WWE is that the U.S. title and the Intercontinental title are so devalued. Back in the 80s and the early 90s, those titles meant more, but now they're so devalued.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get somebody like Orlando Jordan holding on to the title, that kind of makes it even more devalued.
We've talked about that many times. I agree with you. Part of the problem, though, is when you have 2 world champions, it's kind of hard for any other titles. You know what I mean? I mean, to me, the title John Cena has isn't even as valuable as the Intercontinental title used to be.
Right, and I would suggest that another idea would be to have.
Amos, we're totally out of time. We got to get out of here. I want to thank everyone for calling. We'll be back next Sunday, and we'll have a really good show. We're going to have Mike Tenay. I'm going to really try to get Forrest Griffin on as well. We'll see you in the next week. But anyway, have a great week, everybody. And if you didn't see the fight, you've heard the show, so 11 o'clock on Spike. At least watch the fight. We'll talk to you later.